Welcome to Inside Integration. My name is Chris. I'm joined as always by Jayson.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about CEDIA's big push to add an occupational classification. And if that sounds like a foreign language, it kind of is. But what that means is basically within the Department of Labor, CEDIA is working towards carving out a niche for us. So something different than alarm contract or a security contract or electrician or whatever. This is going to be called a what is it? A technology integrator, right, Jayson? That's the
Specifically technology integrator. And you know, it's it's strange to think that all of the years that I've made this a career, I was classified as a subset of an electrician, right?
right, right.
I think anybody that's been in the game for any period of time and looked around at what happens on a job site or with trades, electricians and technology integrators share some, shall we say, root similarities. We're pulling
Yeah, wires,
and wire
routers.
endpoints and stuff like that, and roughly I think that's about where it ends. Maybe there is some shared, you know obviously there's shared application, right? Because everything that we have in our game runs on electrons. But outside of that, electricians are like, what are you doing that for? What is this for? What are these wires for? What does that do? And I think obviously there is the key aha moment where maybe folks in power, whatever those halls of power are. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm completely ignorant to what arm of the government we'd be negotiating with. But I think well and long time overdue, frankly.
Yeah, and I fully agree. And it kind of comes back. I mean, it's a really kind of a simple thing, right? When somebody asks you what you do and and you start to describe it to them, like this kind of falls in line with that, right? Like, well, yeah, I do technology and I do Wi-Fi and I do networks and I do audio video and I do all these other things. And really,
Do shades, we do lighting, and
yeah,
people go, again, the people start to dilate like,
right.
they're like, what are you talking about?
Just
Go
glaze over and have another drink and keep on going.
exactly.
And this, what's nice about this, or what I like about this, is that it sort of it kind of it carves out a niche for us, right? It classifies us. It gets us, it gets us a little bit more distinct from electricians, which I think is a good thing. It really kind of reinforces us being that fourth trade, right? Like as we should be. We deal with a lot more complex stuff than a lot of other trades out there, and it shows, right? Like homeowners should absolutely be looking to a technology integrator.
Well, they count on that stuff. I mean, come on, you got to watch Yo Gabba Gabba for the kids. You got to make sure that the network's up in the house. You got to make sure that the TV's on the wall and the sound system works,
Right.
and the lights are right in the room, and it's not too hot or too cold for my wife and my babies, or maybe it's Mr. Mom or whatever the scenario is, right? Like all of that stuff. So technologist, I agree. Maybe I'm biased, but personally, I'm again kind of shocked that it's taken this long for that to actually even be a consideration, or for there to be a push. And frankly, kudos to the folks at CEDIA. Right?
Yeah.
They're not just an organization that's trying to get you to come to a trade show every year. And I say that in jest, with all respect, because I think over time some people have kind of taken that position, right? Like, oh, I don't see the value in this, or what are they doing for me? This is a huge step to validate what it is that many of us have been making a living at for several decades, or maybe even just starting out. It puts a stamp on what it is that you do.
Yeah, and this is it truly is I mean, this is the power of CEDIA, right? Like this is your collective group here. We all do the same thing, and to be part of an organization like CEDIA, this is exactly what they should be doing. They should be advocating on all of our behalfs.
Lobbying, come on,
Lobbying
lobby for
especially.
lobby for TVs, lobby
Right.
for furniture from Salamander. I don't know. I need to get custom integration into the halls of Congress, and I need them. Maybe it already is. But I mean, I really need some advocates on the House floor, I think.
Well, and right, what they're doing is great because, and it goes all the way down to a local level, right? Like all your local decisions are made, with licensing, with electrical, the NEC and that sort of thing. This, we need a group that's advocating for us so that we just don't get completely steamrolled
Right. Well,
by
you
people who
get,
don't know what they're talking about, right?
yeah, I read in that book that the next revision is 2028, right? And then following that, it's at least another 10 or 15 years before they would ever even review or consider adding this subsection for low voltage and for technology integration. This is the time to strike, right? Like this is the time to get the ball rolling.
Right.
So the message isn't too old, but it's got enough momentum, and there's people out there that are pushing for this. And yeah, if there's a if there's a link to support this, or there's a way to get that message out there, I think we should be on the forefront of getting that in front of our 50 listeners and making sure that that they get their ears on it. All jokes aside, but this is important. Frankly.
Yeah, and we'll put up a thing. I got an email into them now. We'll put a link up where people can kind of get on board here. Basically, what it entails is it's going to be a form that you essentially just sign your name to, and then we'll tell you where to send it and that kind of thing. We'll have more information on that.
Look at you being proactive.
Hey,
Wow.
man, it's funny because this is where the two loves of my life intersect, right? Number
Oh,
one
so the
being,
Venn diagram.
yeah, this is the Venn diagram of me is, custom integration and fun
Yep.
technology things and being an asshole and really, kind of,
Stir
annoying,
in the pot.
annoying the government is, that's where
Oh,
these two things link. And I'm all about this. Like, this is great.
how big are these individual circles?
Oh, it depends. They're
Yeah, yeah.
certainly, weighty.
I
Uh,
get it. I get it. That's good.
but
Well, it's healthy. That's what this country's all about, right? It's the freedom to make choices and to have choices and to have the liberty to let other people live their lives and make their choices for themselves.
well,
At
hey,
least that's in my book.
we all do this for a living. Everybody, probably everybody who listens to us, or at least the vast majority of people who listen to us, literally hop in every day. They work in this thing. Why should we have other people telling us what this industry is all about?
Oh,
Period.
right.
Right.
Or trying to dictate a code or federal mandate to meet a standard that's maybe not applicable, to be able to set
Yeah.
maybe work with the powers that be to set what those standards are, what this actually means.
Or
Uh,
yeah.
we could charge more for it. Hey, look at that! You've been validated by the federal government and National Electrical Code. Guess what?
Right.
Your rate can actually go up a little bit now. And I think, frankly, we've been charging pretty fair rates, but again, legitimizes what it is you're doing out there. And maybe
Yeah.
there's licensing or some other avenues to validate what it is we do for a living, and ways to monetize that accreditation.
Yep. And it's certainly, and really what it comes down to is, do we want to make the rules for ourselves, or do we want someone with a bigger lobbying budget than us electricians to
Oh,
dictate where we sit in this equation? And the answer is no. We want to be those guys.
oh, I agree. Well, and if the people that you were coughing about before were constructive, maybe it'd be something we could all work together, because we're kind of see these things happening in the real world where convergence is life. It's all entropy, order, disorder.
Right.
That part of that process is things kind of melt together and become sort of homogeneous. So the separations of church and state, if you will, what between electricians and low voltage people. Again, I think that those walls have come down. We see it in our industry. We see that with some of our dealer partners out there. They're like, yeah, we do electrical contracting and we do
Yep.
low voltage, and certainly in my market in the Pacific Northwest, it's a requirement.
Hmm.
It's a licensing requirement. So it's it may be part and parcel of your business where it's you have to be that way. So I'd love to see the federal government put a stamp on it, make it all official, and make that work out for everybody. So
Right. And maybe this is just the first step of of something like a separate license to make sure that it's qualified people who are doing these projects, that you're not, as a homeowner, you're not running the risk of your TV falling off because the guy just
Right.
used, friction mount anchors or something, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the rising
I
tide that
can't,
lifts all the ships, right? Yeah.
you mean I can't use drywall anchors to hang a 50-inch plasma on the wall?
I
What are you
mean,
talking about? Should be fine. They're rated for 300 pounds.
why even use an anchor? Just use liquid nails. Just
Oh,
stick that thing right to the wall. Maybe some command strips. You could command strip your TV right on there, and I mean, you're not going to get a flatter mount for a frame TV than
what's
with
a
some.
command strip? What's that?
You don't know what that is? That's the
No.
those are the 3M makes them. It's basically like you stick. It's like a foam tape kind of thing. You stick it on a wall,
Oh, I didn't know that's what that was
and
called.
then it's got a command strips
And you
is
pull
the
and you pull the tab, and it just like magically doesn't rip the paint off. P.S. It rips the paint off.
every time. Yes, and it leaves a nice oily spot right there where it's
Yeah.
adhesive stuck to your plaster. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean you could totally
Okay.
hang a TV with those. It's nice
I'm
and flat right up against the wall.
I'm guilty
Sure.
as charged. I have definitely fired those in angers, but I never actually knew that they were called command strips. So, well, you learn something new every day. So,
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
you have it.
It's the perfect device to hang something in your kid's bedroom and pull it off at some point and just make a complete mess. But you're pushing that mess down the road 5 years is really the answer.
Well, that sounds high. It's good for renters.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for
They
renters.
just like, oh man, I want to get all of my deposit back. I'd like to get probably 90% of it back. So let me just leave a couple of really weird, additions to this property before I move on.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, but so that's something we'll share some more information on that. We might have somebody from CEDIA on just to kind of give us the.
I'd love to have. I'm gonna leave that in your capable hands. It'd be exciting to have somebody official on here to really elevate our game, ride their coattails on out of the the doldrums of
Yeah,
podcast world.
the huge megaphone that we have of 12 listeners aside from people that we know and
Right.
love, right? That's where we want to
Exactly.
be.
What's up,
Well,
Mike Marco? We love you, buddy.
big shout out to Mike DeMarco, who comprises
Yeah.
30% of our listening audience.
I,
But
I love that.
I think I think the stickers, maybe the stickers will help that. I don't know if that's
Yeah, I'm looking forward
there
to
you
getting
go.
my hands on some of
Right.
those. There you go.
We
There you go.
we've got a whole bag of them. They are not flashy at all, just like us.
I,
And
I am. Well, it's a couple of middle-aged American dads. Let's go.
it's true. It's true. And yeah, we'll be probably handing them out at CEDIA and all that stuff. And maybe you'll see some stickers on the Bears, but that's
Yeah,
that's the goal.
if you see one of us, yeah, hit us up for some stickers. I'll have them in my pocket or in my bag or whatever if I'm walking around for sure.
My
For
plan
sure.
my plan is to put on my by design t-shirt and put them in all sorts of places where they don't belong and just build that buzz for our boys over there.
Yeah, great. Appreciate that. I'm glad to be on a foundational level with you on your career with by design.
Right.
Feel good about this all of a sudden.
No, they don't want anything to do with me. Uh,
Well, they're missing out. What can I tell you?
yeah,
Tell you?
so yeah, a couple other things.
Yeah, the road to CEDIA. What else are we talking about? We got some new product announcements. We got heads of state making announcements. What do you want to talk about?
I mean, fresh off the Olympics that everybody was glued to. Now we can really focus on CEDIA, I think. We're starting to see some press coming out about what people are going to have at CEDIA. Okay, over there, is that your side?
Yeah, no, there's people talking in the background. I'm listening to you, but there's people talking right outside the door. So I'm like, as long as they're not talking to me directly, or the door doesn't like swing open and it's like, surprise.
So right before we started, you were talking about the crows. So I was thinking for a second that maybe it was the crows, and they've got.
No, it wasn't the crows. I was listening to you. I was just like, oh God, just wait. I'm going to feel like the cold wind of the door will swing open behind me across the back of my neck. And just somebody like sticking their head in. Hey, are you doing something right now? Oh, you are. That's fine.
Oh, hey, and we'll say hi to anybody.
We will. They can come on the show if they want, but they don't want to.
Yeah, we half of me is kind of hoping that. So yesterday we had an earthquake here in Southern California about 11 a.m. or so, and
I might have heard something about that.
It was definitely for me. Yeah, earthquakes are part of living out here. I think I'm used to them by now or whatever, but it was definitely in my head. I thought like a fat person just walked past my office and that's all it was. And then, come to find out, oh, there was an earthquake. Great. Okay. That's wonderful. So I'm just waiting for the day that all of a sudden, things started shaking in here and we're live
Oh
on the call.
man, I only have one like I lived in California for a while. We had a couple of little rumbles and stuff, but my visitation to California as a kid, like when I was in high school, I went out there, and it was like when I don't know, it was like I don't know, I want to say like '88 or something like that. That was kind of around the time that San Francisco had the big
Yeah.
earthquake during the World Series. I think it might
89
have been that
during the
might have been that
series.
same year, right, or whatever.
I mean,
So
what are the odds that you have an earthquake and the game is being played between the A's and the Giants? It's like
yeah,
literally across the bay at the epicenter of this thing. Like,
just just
wow.
massive, right? So, anyways, there was a lot of seismic activity in California at the time. For whatever reason, I'm living on the East Coast in Central Florida. I met my dad and friends in California, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm wide awake because I've been going to school at 7 a.m. Right, so I'm cruising the halls of this hotel, like in Anaheim or whatever, cruising around, and earthquake hits. And as I'm looking out across the road from the opening the door to my hotel room, we can see the hotel across the street. We can see it like I can see it like wiggling, and it was right by where like the Magic Castle is or whatever, where it's like our Malibu Grand Prix or whatever there in Anaheim. This is really,
Okay.
really off the rails storytelling. But anyways, we're looking at this, hotel across the street and literally, watching it wave outside. And I guess it was like like a solid five. Like
Right.
it was a good, how you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotta wake you
But
up.
I mean, I don't know if it was anything like that, but luckily, no, nothing major happened to me. Luckily, looks like you made it unscathed. So
Yeah, we
again,
had nothing here. It's definitely from the East Coast. It's like, oh wow, did a big truck just drive by or something? Like it takes you a second, and then if it's still going, then it's like, well, nope, that's definitely not a truck, and
yeah.
you kind of
Well,
feel the waves, and it's a
the
whole.
doors of your hotel room open up, even though they're locked. It's a solid indicator that it's a pretty good shaker outside.
Yeah, or you've got a Weinstein staying on the same floor as you. I mean, it could be, one of
Could
those.
could be that.
But
But
uh,
so,
but
so
yeah.
yeah, so to circle back onto the on ramp of new products, I don't know how we got on that tangent, but we did it
Oh,
anyway.
so I thought we could go with, speaking of disasters,
Oh,
Sonos app
oh,
is
sorry. Yeah,
either
we could
way.
we could do Sonos app. Sorry, I'm just kicking my computer, so the video portion of this podcast is going to be muy excellente
We're
from
talking about
my side of the
earthquakes.
street. Yeah,
So, hey,
absolutely. Little, oh no. The
yes.
the ongoing saga that is the excitement at Sonos. I don't know what their plans are for exhibiting at CEDIA, if they're planning on doing that, if they're going to do the whole we're rented a hotel room in another building because we don't want to be on the show floor thing again. Do you remember when they did that?
I do. Yes, I
That
remember
was
that.
wild.
Yep.
Or maybe just purposely to hide from the rocks and rotten tomatoes and things that I think some of our dealer partners and certainly some of their customers have been, maybe contemplating throwing at them for some of the challenges that they faced here with the upgrades to their app and suspension of delivering product, etc.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be at CEDIA. I'm sure they'll have a big booth. I'm sure they'll do their typical footprint. I mean, it's a product that a lot of people have and love and everything else, and it's just,
Yeah,
man,
it's great. It's a great platform.
we
Like
just
we can throw shade all we want because we're hating,
sure.
right? They've got a great platform. They've marketed well. They've got great penetration for a technology product that, frankly, I think has transcended from what was kind of a niche CI thing into
Well,
a full blown anybody can do it thing.
name one other product that has had such an impact on raising awareness of multi-room audio than Sonos, right? Like here's your,
Okay, well,
what
Frank
else is
Stearns
there?
would be mad because he would say that it's Bob and Gloria from the Niles days, right?
Well, okay.
And our folks over at Newtone and M&S, they were the intercom guys in the 70s
Mm,
and 80s. But uh, to your point, and in all seriousness, in terms of what modern day multi-room audio is, in terms of streaming music and stuff like that, there is nobody that has put the ice cream on the on the cake like Sonos has for that space and for the residential audio market. Period.
sure.
Right.
And I mean, it is it is kind of a bummer because they keep stepping on rakes with these software updates, and it's like, it's the plight of the integrator, right? Like
Sure.
almost every manufacturer, I'm sure at some point Sony had a firmware that went out. I know Samsung has had firmwares that have come out. I know that there's, all your control systems have had some software release that breaks some very critical piece, and it just ruins everybody's weekend for a couple weeks in a row. So, this is a plight that we're all sort of used to, but man, it is just it's blowing up. And I'm encouraged because they Sonos has come out and said, hey, we had two major hardware releases that we've now put on hold so that we can take care of this. And I think that's admirable. I think that's
Sure.
exactly, hey, mea culpa, we're here to we're gonna fix this thing, and we're gonna put everything else on hold until we do. I think that's great as long as they follow through with that. That's a great resolution. But man, there's so
Painful.
many things I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, it's painful, and frankly, I think to our benefit and to some of the other streaming players out there, right, the machines of that space, I think it opens up the door a little bit. Sonos has kind of strutted in there and has gone toe to toe with Amazon, has gone toe to toe with some of these big dudes and come out on top, right? So you go, wow, all right, well, those are pretty serious, those are pretty serious points in your pocket. But obviously, there's only one way to go from the top of streaming audio mountain.
Right.
Like if you have a problem,
Right.
like
Right.
somebody's going to come along, or maybe you're going to knock yourself off. And I think unfortunately through their their reach, which is admirable, right? You want to innovate, you want to keep bringing products to the space
Certainly.
that makes sense. Obviously there's you reach over the fire, you're going to tend to potentially get burned, and I think unfortunately that's where they're at right now. But for the other people in the world, and specifically on our side of the street, with the Lembrook family of products and Blue Sound, the Blue Sound streamers, Blue Sound players, again, as cool a family of product with virtually identical feature sets as far as what Sonos has to what they have, but built for CI,
Yep.
not like a secondary consideration of high res music support, sound bars, subwoofers, all of that good stuff, wireless speakers. So again, I don't know how we turn this into a Blue Sound commercial, but I'm going to go ahead and make
That's
it into one anyways
that's the
because
reps. That's the rep in you doing it.
oh, it
See,
is, man.
yeah,
He's only been in there for a
a
year, and
year
he's
down the road,
already
he's
just
all
like
about it.
screaming to get out and make a deal. But for anybody that's frustrated with Sonos out there, if you're looking for a solution that is basically the same in terms of what the net result is, but puts a little bit more money in your pocket and certainly offers you some CI benefits and performance benefits, come and talk to us about Blue Sound and that family of products. It's cooked into pretty much all of the boxes that Lembrook makes these days. So
Yeah,
whether it's NAD or it's Blue Sound,
and
there's some cool stuff for you.
and hopefully they figure it out, and we don't have to talk about Sonos much anymore. But figured it was worth mentioning just because, man, I know a lot of CI guys are really going through it right now with trying to
Oh,
trying to
I've
trying to cope.
heard. Yeah, I have a few accounts that specialize in hi-fi specifically, that have been placing larger POs for Blue Sound as a result of the pain points with Sonos. And I know I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for that support, but I think it's not just because Sonos is having problems, right?
Yeah,
It's because the Blue Sound stuff is on par, if not better, in a lot of ways. And to my earlier statement, for the CI focus part of this, that's where Blue Sound and NAD live. They kind of kind of
absolutely.
invented some of those categories, specifically NAD, right? So let's be real and be honest about where all this stuff comes from.
Certainly, certainly. And yeah, that's your Like I said, hopefully we don't have to talk about Sonos too much longer. Hopefully they sort
Huh.
it all out by CEDIA.
They're not a sponsor of this podcast, but if they'd like to be,
Yes.
we're open to suggestions. We won't, we can say that the thoughts and opinions of the hosts are their own and not those of the sponsors or the
No, we can
vendors
certainly pivot
for this
to, hey,
podcast.
if you want our huge audience behind you,
Come on, let's
yeah,
get
I
there.
mean, let's get there, right? Brought to you by. Um,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
speaking of sponsorship, another S line that's near and dear to our hearts here, and definitely turning the pages from the dumpster fire that we were just talking about. But man, there is so much stuff coming from SI within the last couple of weeks, man. It seems like every
Holy
week
cow.
there's this drip of something new. And one of the things that I wanted to get into was they got these Nino shades now that are, I mean, they're like a third of the cost of a comparable thing.
I'm shopping for some Nino shades, bro.
That's
Like I'm just gonna go ahead and be perfectly blunt. I'm gonna put that out there for anybody. Ryan, if you're listening, come on, my man. Like we love you, bro. Hook me up.
it's true. It's true.
But
And that's, I mean, it's funny because again, we're all CI guys, and yeah, coming out of the the call that we all had with SI a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, that was my first thought, is like, wow, I need to put these in my house. That's absolutely, that's my
right,
price point. That's my control method. These things are what, my
yeah. If you
wife will sail right past the approval process on these
Oh,
things.
go
Absolutely.
go for yes. Yeah, my I was looking at the Screen Innovations website, so screeninnovations.com, right? And you can look up the Nino, and I kept calling him Nino, and it's like, no, he's not Nino Brown. This is a New Jack City,
Right.
right? This is Nino. This is the son or the smaller version of Nano. So like, okay, I get it now. Uh, you know, I want to look at what these are all about. Nice form factor, nice valance that you can put around it with the rollover shade, like with narrow, a short. I think what is it, 16 wide is a short
Yeah.
and
16 wide is
22
the smallest.
high, and then like up to like 100 and something wide
Yeah.
by 100 and something tall.
Yeah.
You telling me, and Ryan said it on the call, in the $400 on average per window cost, I'm interested, and that's
Yeah.
full pop, that's full retail with margin and all that stuff. I'm interested.
Yep.
I really like, full stop, as a consumer, as a customer. Okay, maybe that puts me in the motorized shade world where I previously would have thought, yeah, okay, we'll save up and we'll do this piecemeal. That makes doing a bigger shade job far more approachable, and maybe takes your customer to make a bigger swing on something than they would have even
Oh
considered
yeah.
possible.
I mean, just the fact that it's dual control, right? So you got RF, so you
Oh
got
yeah,
433 and Zigbee. Like the fact that those two things are together in the one motor, I mean, that's a big deal for flexibility, right? Like you could put these things up. What's super nice about that is that you could put these things up before the control system is in and operate them RF until you're ready. So you can you can put these things into the project at your convenience, even if it's before the rack rolls in, if they're, staging or changes to the jobs or whatever, like it gets these products in and gets you paid for them. And battery, right? Like you could put one of these things on a door. It's a no brainer, baby.
I love it. There's again that whole. I mean, again, I'm excited about getting my hands on something I haven't even seen with my own eyes yet. But um, I agree. The battery operated deal with the charge it up for a year, let her rip potato chip.
Yep.
Okay. And for your average size window, you're going to be sub $1,000, all in, done deal. Those are conversations that you can have with clients that, again, just probably wouldn't even think that shades were a possibility, let alone attainable, or what their thought is in that price point. They're thinking, okay, so this is like a Mecco shade or a what's the other one, Hampton.
Oh, yes. Not Hampton. Oh no, yeah, no, Hampton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hampton Bay, right? And
Hmm.
not the other one. Like, again, fine products, fine companies, but certainly not as refined as what you'd find on a nano shade, right? Like just there's a delta there in terms of the final outcome. You can get closer to what a nano looks like in the Mecho shade or in the in the Hamilton price point.
Yeah. And again, integrates with the entire SI ecosystem. One of the things we love the most
Or
about
doesn't,
SI, or doesn't,
right?
right? It works
It,
independent, but you
do
can
the
add these.
Zigbee little hub, like the Smart Things hub for $70, and
Yep.
there's an app on there, and okay, your client doesn't want to do a control system, but they love the fact that they can beep boop on their phone, and you give them a remote. Bob's your uncle.
Home run.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty slick. So I felt worth mentioning that for sure, just because again,
absolutely.
it's coming fast and furious from SI, man. There's
They're
one
getting a
thing
lot of
after
airtime from
another.
us here recently, man. Between origami, right? We're getting, the streamlining of the screen product line. They've got like they
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff. They got a lot of stuff happening over there. I mean, I'm excited personally about the higher end stuff, and
Hmm.
I've even talked to a few dealers who Ryan had reached out to and sort of tipped his hat a little bit about what the Nino product is about, and they're like, I'm not that excited about making less money on selling a shade job. And I said, well, there's a couple of ways to think about that. But one of those ways would be maybe you get a swing at a client that would have never thought they could afford shades in the first place. And
Yep.
you'll take that project money, right? And if they're saying that there's money at on average $400 a window,
Yep.
okay,
Especially where the choices between having something automated and having something that's chain. You
right.
can
Well, and
you can give that to your client all day long and they'll love it.
it doesn't change the solution. It just moves the solution down the pricing elevator, so it opens the doors to more people that might be looking for window coverings or looking to do something different or use it as a supplement. One thing that I didn't really think about was they're doing fancier shades or nicer shades in other parts of the house because they're prime areas, but you know Johnny's bedroom.
Right.
Johnny's an animal. We just want him to block the light out in that room. We want him to be quiet. We want to make sure that he's got the same level of comfort as the rest of us do in the house, but we don't want to pay for the same shade for Johnny's room.
Right.
So
Yep.
here's the same thing, low cost alternative. So a great like mix and match opportunity to keep it all in the SI bucket and not have to go third party or go outside the world. And their partnership with Wolf, that's huge.
That's a biggie.
Ship direct to the job site, ship to, with matching fabrics and all these other things. Like, okay,
Yep.
SI's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
You look at Ryan and Shannon's social media. They're in Hawaii. They're surfing. They're boating. You're on the lake in Texas, right? But it's very clear that they work hard and they play pretty hard as well, right? So it's
Yep.
pretty fun to see all the updates and the changes and stuff coming for this
Yeah, a
year.
lot of innovations, a lot of I'm sure there'll be a lot of booth traffic this year. I'm sure that at CEDIA, this is going to be one of the ones to check out for sure. That's you got to get over there because yeah, these things and I mean that's the funny thing is last year they had a ton of announcements as well, including the revolve curtain rod that you put this thing in and it hypnotizes you.
Right.
But it
And I think that's super cool. Doesn't fit into everybody's
nope.
world, but and because maybe that style of drapery or whatever isn't the fashion du jour necessarily for everybody's home. But my God, I can think of tons of places where that kind of innovation, not just curtain rod specific, but to the shading game in our lane,
Sure.
is, I mean, awesome to have all that stuff and to have these guys pushing the envelope as you were talking about before we get started here. You're trying new things, and I'm always scared when you try new things because chances are this thing's gonna blow up or something. Oh my God, I'm up to 9 megabits per second on my upload speed.
There, and your image is getting clearer as we go. So
At just about the time we're about to sign off, too. It's cool. It's
yeah. So
great.
32 minutes into this thing, we are Jayson is in high resolution now, and yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. So, but yeah, I mean, one thing I did want to kind of bring up here at the end of the show for whoever's left after the long commercial for SI and this,
The
and the deal.
tangent
Yeah.
and the my me doing my best Mitch McConnell freeze for a second. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean what I wanted to say was the CEDIA thing, just to bring it all the way back to the beginning. The CEDIA thing is important, and we want to hear from you in the
Absolutely.
comments and whatever, and let us know. Obviously, we don't represent CEDIA, but we do try to represent the dealers in our territories that count. And just for interaction's sake, like let us know, man. Drop me a comment on this video. Like let's engage and let's figure out what things, is this a good tact for CD to take? Should CD be doing other things? What's the, is there a value for you in a trade organization? That's definitely something to talk about. And, we'd love to hear from you, as well as any, any suggestions for this show, even if it's like, hey, we don't care about the crows outside of Jayson's window. We don't care about earthquakes,
No.
whatever,
Oh yeah.
whatever.
No more earthquakes or crow updates. And that's fine. It's kind of where the conversation led us. But
Yeah,
and it's only because we're completely tangential and I'm very ADHD, so it's fine. It's unmedicated, so yeah, it's good. I'm good though when I'm focused on stuff. It's laser focused, so that's really it's those flashes of brilliance that have gotten me this far in life. So we'll keep the
absolutely.
streak alive. We'll keep that streak alive.
Yep. And again, we're here for you guys. So we do appreciate you tuning in. And that's gonna do it for me. I'm Chris. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.